What's up, everybody? This is Karen, and welcome to the lowest effort racetrack ever constructed, I think. This is Automobilista 2. This is the 2020 stock cars and Galeao Airport, the newest track to the Stock Car Pro Series. Between iRacing and the recent release of the car in this game, I've been driving the 2022 stock car quite a lot recently. Much prefer it in AMS though, because we have AI, don't have to deal with a small and, let's be honest, not very good iRacing driver base for this car. But yeah, this track is about as low effort as you can get. It is literally two hairpins and a fast chicane. It is the kind of track design where you have, we just want to see the cars go fast, and that's it. We can figure out the racing bit later. First time racing on it though, so maybe the racing will be good. Real world race on this track is this weekend. Let's be honest, you know, the track doesn't need to be good for the driver to be good for the racing. Gonna have push to pass if you're gonna drive past that guy like he's not even there. Right up the inside of everyone at that hairpin. There's a small ridge through that hairpin, which makes it a bit trickier than it first looks. It is a tight hairpin, but that little ridge as you come through the apex does make it a bit trickier than it first appears. It can be hard to get the power down out of it. Same goes for that one. It's a very slippery track, very hard to warm the tyres up because you haven't got a huge amount of corners. At least that's how I've found it so far. Not really much to say about the cars. It's the stock car. It's stock car in a razor game. Of course it's awesome. They've been doing these things for 12, 13 years now. I'd be a bit worried if they couldn't do them well by now. We're going to have push to pass right after the hairpin, so we should have this guy through there. Activate that. He is probably going to do the same, but decent drive. Make us some ground on this guy as well. Oh! I think that was entirely me not accounting for the extra speed of push to pass on a straight that long. That's why you turn damage off against the AI. Haven't you figured out a decent line? You want to cut it a little bit. from what I've seen in my practicing, you don't get dinged with an off-track or a cut-track warning unless you actually hit the cones. Ten minutes left. Lots of time to catch up with these guys. From what I've been able to gather, this track was basically put together because they decided they wanted motorsport back in Rio de Janeiro, but realized, oh crap, we demolished that one good track we had. Now we need something new. And this was apparently the best they could come up with for the time being. Pretty sure there are plans to build a new, like, permanent track in Rio. I remember that was being talked about a couple of years back when they were talking about replacing Interlagos as the F1 track. Very hard braking into that hairpin. Take a decent amount of the runoff as well. Honestly, it's not the worst airport track I've ever seen. It's not particularly, like, complex or interesting, but I think you need tracks like this, like tracks that are just easy to learn in your game. Like, that was definitely the first thing I did when I got Copa de Marcus, effectively the free game Stock Car Extreme demo. First thing I did when I fired up that game was look through the tracks, saw Taruma, and was like, okay, that looks easy to learn. Let's start there. Yeah, it'd be nice if people who are coming new to sim racing and to AMS in particular, especially after it was in the Humble Bundle recently, just going through the tracks thinking like, what's the easiest track in the game, and see this and it's like, yeah, that's an easy track to learn. Okay, caught up with the pack now. Can actually get to racing again. Yeah, let it coast through the first part of the corner. And just set yourself up for the exit. Does lead onto a hella straight after all. Right, push to pass enabled, so we're going to just drive past this guy like he's not even there. 163 miles an hour. Actually get it stopped this time. It's one of the things I've had to be beating into my head again as I've been doing more and more sim racing again. Just remembering that the latest braking point is not always the best one. Sometimes you do just want to brake early. Set up your exit. Gonna have this guy through the hairpin. I think there's another crest there. It's not as obvious as the one at the far hairpin, but it is a very slippery exit. Battle cluster here. Really showcases the advantages of VR airport tracks, because there's often a lot of tarmac between you and the apex. Especially when you have as late a turning point as that hairpin seems to have. Nice and controlled, get a good 2-for-1 deal there. But yeah, if you're wondering how the iRacing stock car matches up to the AMS one, I did transplant my iRacing setup onto the AMS stock car, the 2021 model, so it's not a perfect comparison. And they drove basically identically. With the exact same, as close to the same inputs as I could get. I was doing pretty much the exact same times around the Red Bull ring. So, yeah, it's what you want from a simulation. Everyone's trying to simulate the same car, so we should be getting the same results. There's going to be small differences based on approach and philosophy of, and the smaller details of what's being simulated, but if we're ultimately getting the same lap times, that's really the important thing. Yeah, that's the exit. That's the exit I want out of that. Hooked up on the push to pass. Probably going to have this guy easily, at the very least, going to be in position to make a move on the guy in front, if I can remember my shifts. There's one other thing in this patch as well, which is probably going to be the bigger headline grabber, but I'll be talking about that in another video, probably. Don't hold me to anything these days. Oh, that was too wide. Yeah, it's probably going to be last lap. Bit too wide, killed my exit. No threat from behind, but probably not going to have this guy. Yeah, decent racing. I think as a track, it lends itself well to these cars and what they're good at. You can overtake basically anywhere. It's not the most interesting track, but hey. If the racing's good, that's what you're there for. Who cares if at a certain point, who cares if the track's interesting to drive on your own? This is a racing game. You're here to race. That's what matters. Oh yeah, Galeao. Not an impressive track, but I got no issues with it being here, especially since it, this is one of those tracks where Razer could very easily have just said, like, no, we're not putting that in. Like, it's not interesting enough, but they are committed to having the entire history almost of stock car in this game. And that's to be celebrated. That's to be applauded. After over a decade of making stock car games, they still have the complete experience in here, and that's vanishingly rare. It's maybe slightly making a comeback, but I like having an entire series worth of cars and tracks. So yeah, that's that ramble over. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.